Being close to an unhealed Scorpio is probably one of the most dangerous places to be, and one of the most dangerous aspects of any relationship with a Scorpio. And the reason for this is not because they can be possessive or jealous or that they can be controlling or power hungry. It's because the entire mechanism that makes Scorpio such a beautiful, deep and intimate sign gets twisted. When that gets fragmented and twisted, it usually behaves in extremes. My name's Nadia and welcome to Unhealed Signs, where we look at each and every one of the signs, how it reacts to its core need not being met. And this is usually a spectrum and there's two extremes, and most people fall somewhere within that spectrum. And I'm neurospicy, I also have a data addiction, so in the comments I would love to know, where's Scorpio in your chart? Do you have any planets and placements in there? I've got an 8th house Scorpio with a Pluto that is directly opposite my Mars in Taurus, so fun me. Scorpios are built for deep connection. They don't do shallow and they don't do surface level. When they allow you access to their inner world, that is allowing you access to the part of them that is incredibly vulnerable. And it can be an incredible experience between two people. However, an unhealed Scorpio twists that. And they turn it into, if I allow you to have access to me, how will you use that power to hurt me? This is the core of the two extremes. So on the one hand, you have a Scorpio that defaults to, you will never ever have enough information to hurt me. And they can be hyper controlled and they can be very inaccessible. This is the Scorpio relationship where you've known them for 9 years. They know anything and everything about you. But when you really think back on things, you don't know anything about them. They're very skilled at pulling information out of you without revealing anything of themselves. They can be incredibly suspicious and they can often try and test your trust, which can be very unnerving if you're not someone that deals with those same issues or those same themes within your life. Vulnerability feels incredibly dangerous to them. Once information leaves their hand, they can't control what you do with that. So they either control the information you have or they control you, because that is how they keep themselves safe. This is where it gets very sad, because they end up creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if you distrust someone for long enough, you question them for long enough, try and control them for long enough, they are eventually going to lose trust in you and the relationship, because it starts to feel unsafe for them too. We all have a survival mechanism. On the other end, where we have, you won't know anything about me, the extreme number 2 is, if we're connected, you belong to me. You are now part of me. This is where Scorpio merges. This can be where Scorpio gets incredibly intense. It can feel smothering to the other person. Now, these Scorpios aren't stage 5 clingers, and they will accept you into their inner circle on day 1. It is more nuanced than that, because once you enter the inner sanctum, the inner circle, they see you as part of that circle. Therefore, you can't just leave them or the circle. And the problem here is that boundaries cease to exist. They completely merge with you. Any independence that you show can show them rejection. So you saying, I just want to go out with the girls tonight and I do not want to hang out with you all Friday night. You're in a pissy mood and I'm not in the mood. That is a deep rejection of them. You're rejecting them and seeking company elsewhere. Therefore, it can feel like an emotional betrayal. Jealousy and possessiveness can go to the extremes, because they're constantly surveilling and looking for things that threatens that bond that you share. Because intimacy cannot function in a healthy way when it's built on surveillance. And this is where the depths of a Scorpio can really get dark and can be really difficult to disentangle from. Telling them what Bob said to you at work that made you laugh becomes a threat to the relationship itself, because why aren't you sharing with me what Bob said to you? And then when Janet casually mentions how funny Bob was and how you all laughed, that becomes little parts of evidence that the bond isn't as strong as it should be, or that they wish it would be, and they start controlling. Now, this in and of itself is incredibly complex and can fire off in a million different ways. It doesn't mean every single Scorpio is dark. In fact, I think most Scorpios don't go to the extremes just because the extremes are so extreme. But what I am hesitant towards, and when I work with a client that is entangled in a very unhealthy, unhealed Scorpio relationship, is the fact that Scorpio's defense can turn into offense. It can go nuclear. In this scenario, because Scorpio literally delves deep and gets all of the information, when they feel threatened and betrayed, they remember where the bodies are buried. So even though a clean break is a clean break for you, there is a chance that knee-jerk reaction can backfire and can be even more scary. Now, I don't want you to be scared of Scorpios because they're beautiful humans and they're incredibly complex and they're very necessary for the balance overall. But we have to understand that a dark Scorpio will not be the same as a dark Gemini. Usually the fix for this is when a Scorpio starts healing and they start understanding that you can't create intimacy, build authentic intimacy and relationships without taking the risk of getting hurt. Once they understand that, it kind of gives them food for thought and they can work through these issues. The question is, are you willing and is it safe for you to work through this with them? And if you're a ride or die and you made it to the end, thank you so much. I know this is a darker topic, and if you're someone that stays to the end for my little 2 cents in it, I just want to reiterate that Scorpios shouldn't be feared or avoided. There is nothing wrong with them and they aren't inherently dangerous. They just have an overreactive reaction mechanism and they're a lot more sensitive than we usually give them credit for. Just because they don't show hurt doesn't mean they don't feel hurt. If you're a Scorpio, you have ever identified with either one of those extremes, I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a mechanism that fired due to circumstances, background, and things that happened in your life, but you are still in control. Astrology is not prophecy. You were built for a beautiful, deep relationship with other people. You just need to make sure that you prioritize you, that you're able to see the wood for the trees. And also, at the end, ride or dies, I want to know, if you could return into a werewolf or a vampire, which one would you want to be?